Hey designers, here's a short video to show you how to edit and color correct some photos for your product photography. So let's get to it. So I have Photoshop open here with a photograph that I want to edit. So I'll show you guys some tools under the image tab. So we've got crop, which you'll use to set your composition and move the boundaries of your image. And then under adjustments, we have a few different things that we'll look at. Levels, brightness, contrast, hue and saturation, and desaturate just to get started. So in order to crop an image, this is what it came in right off the camera. On the left-hand toolbar, you'll look for a tool called Rectangular Marquee. So if I click and hold and drag, I can create a bounding box for my image. So if I wanted to crop off a little bit from the right, I would just make that selection and go image crop. On Windows, you can hit Control Z. On Mac, it's Command Z to undo. You can also get it from up here under the Edit tab. Undo is the first one right there. I also showed you guys in class there is a history in Photoshop. So you can see all of the features and actions that you do to your artboard right here in this toolbar. So to get to that, you can go Windows History or find it just on the toolbar. So that's crop. I think it's a good idea to do that one first. Once you get the composition or the arrangement that you want, then you can start doing some color correction. I like to check levels first, so image adjustment and levels. So it brings up this histogram of values that we see in our image. Over to the right, we have white values, with pure white being this 255 number here. So that controls the white values. We have midtones in the ticker in the middle, showing all of our different grays from kind of like light to mid to dark grays. And then all the way over to the left of the histogram, we have black. So pure black would be all the way to the left, represented by 0. So what this is a representation of the different values in our image. So gray, we have a spike here in our midtones, which checks out, right? If we look at our image, we have a lot of light gray in our image. We also have a few spikes around dark gray, which also tracks with what we see in our image, right? That's the background, and then some of these side faces of our forms are showing as dark gray. So the histogram would be how many of those values of pixels we have in the image. What we want to do is have a nice dynamic range where we have the lightest lights and the darkest darks represented. So I can drag this right-hand ticker over to where that mountain peak starts. And I'll do the same on the other side, right? So that adjusts our black values and our white values to have a full dynamic range. You can check preview on and off just to see the effect of that. And it's pretty dramatic, improving our image quite a bit. So I'll hit OK. From there, we can do some other fine tuning. So brightness and contrast are also tools that are really helpful. Brightness will skew all of those values one way or the other, right to left. So increase the brightness, everything gets brighter, including our darkest darks. Skew it to the left, everything gets darker, including our brightest brights. So use that sparingly or when appropriate. Contrast is a little bit easier to use. So contrast, as you might expect, it increases or decreases the total amount of contrast in the image. So your highlights and your shadows get further apart with more contrast. And you can hit preview to check the effect of that. So that looks pretty good. I'll hit OK on that. Next one is hue and saturation. So let's say you forgot to turn off the fluorescent lights when you were doing your product photography and everything has a yellow cast. Well, you can change the saturation of your image and take that down to minimize the effect of that lighting, or If for whatever reason you wanted to increase the saturation in your image, let's say you were doing landscape or portraits, you might want to increase that saturation. So the saturation is the intensity of color in your photograph. Hue, just above that, is the specific color represented. So you can skew this around the color spectrum just by moving this slider. This image is mostly grayscale, so this doesn't look so dramatic. So just to show the effect, I'll increase the saturation all the way. And now you can see the impact of sliding hue back and forth, right? You can have something have a blue cast or a red cast or yellow or green. So I actually won't keep these values. I'll just hit cancel. But that is a good tool to use. If you wanted to desaturate entirely, then we have that tool here, desaturate. So that takes all color values and converts them to grayscale in the image. So you can do that if you like. That's about it for color correction at this stage. There's there's more complicated tools that we'll get into later in the semester, but I think this is a good start. All you'd want to do at the end of this is save as or save a copy, and you can save a copy of that image as a JPEG. So updated, whatever, give it a name. Um, and that'll save a new JPEG for you to upload. So that's it for this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in class.